take a moment to remember that the last time I wore this jumper, I met Dan and Phil.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Hey guys, it's Dione and I'm back with another story time about my mess of a life. If you've seen my other story times, you would know that I am an unlucky person. I don't know why. Maybe the world just hates me. Maybe I'm annoying. Maybe I don't eat enough fruit and vegetables. I don't know, but I have a lot of bad luck. It seems that all of this bad luck happens whenever I go away on holiday. This is some crazy shit that happened to me. It's not crazy shit, it's just unlucky shit that happened to me when I went away last month. I was flying from Western Australia over to a city called Melbourne to see 5 Seconds of Summer's Sounds Live Feels Live tour, and I was also spending a couple of weeks there just to like explore and, you know, like be a tourist and stuff. So I was on the plane, I was getting pretty restless, and then I started to smell something disgusting. Like, you know when you can smell something that's it smells like people cooking food, but it's not the nice kind of food. Like, it literally smells like it's been dropped in like acid or something. Like, it stinks, it smells weird. And I turned to my friend who I was sitting next to and was like, do you smell that? And she was like, yeah. We had no idea what it was. I thought because it's a plane, you get like airplane food, maybe it was like the food that they bring out, even though it shouldn't smell like that. Turns out the small child who was sitting directly in front of me had projectile vomited everywhere. Of course I had to be the kid sitting right in front of me. Like, God bless the poor child, he was probably like dying on this plane. Made me want to be sick. Thank God it was like the last 20 minutes of the flight, otherwise I would not have lasted with that vomit smell the entire flight. Ugh. Now the next unlucky thing that happened to me, I mean, it was kind of lucky but it kind of wasn't lucky. I ran into Luke and Ashton from Fire Sauce in the middle of the city. Let me just backtrack on this. Obviously I was in Melbourne for the Fire Sauce concert, but we had gone to the city because we wanted to like go shopping, look around. We were trying to find a Boost, and I don't know if Boost is just an Australian thing, but it's just like a juice and smoothie bar basically. We were trying to find this. We had Google Maps open on our phones because we were like tourists and we didn't know where the fuck we were going. I kid you not, like half an hour before this happened, we were actually discussing, could you imagine like if we saw Fire Sauce in the city? That's not gonna happen though, because Melbourne is so big compared to Perth. Like, you can't even run into them in Perth, let alone in Melbourne. Like, we had a full-on discussion about this. We walked out of this shopping center and we were like just walking down the street and we were all on our phones. So I'm looking down at my phone and I kid you not, I look up, and what do I see when I look up? Fucking Luke Hemmings looking right at me. We were literally just discussing how big Melbourne is and there's no way we're gonna run into them in this city. I look up and he's right there. Okay, so he wasn't right in front of me. It was like there was a street and we were on this side of the street and Luke was on the opposite side of the street. But like when I looked up and to the side because I was trying to figure out which way to go. Like, we go that way. And another thing we were discussing was that it would be virtually impossible to recognize them in a crowd. If you were walking down the street and Fire Sauce were walking down the street as well, like, would you notice them? And we all said no. Like, because they just look like normal people. Me recognizes Luke the second I look up. He might not have been looking at me, like, let's be honest, he was probably looking at someone behind me. But like when I looked up, we had like this eye contact and I like shat inside. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, Luke, because I didn't want to make a scene on the middle of the street. I just like grabbed my friend's hand that was standing next to me and like just kept squeezing it, like as if to like warn her. In my head I was like, why is he on his own? Like, he's walking around the middle of the city on his own. He doesn't even live in this city. Like, does he know his way around? Wouldn't he get stopped by fans if he's on his own? And I see this like short ass motherfucker next to him in a beanie and a hoodie, and I was like, is that Ashton? He was with Ashton, but I didn't even notice Ashton at first. We all just sort of looked up and then they turned and walked into this shop called H&M. Every time I think of H&M, I'm like triggered. We all stood outside and just looked at each other like, do we follow them? Do we go in there and say hello? Like, we want to say hi and like talk to them, but like, do we? I was just gunning for Luke. I was like, fucking Luke Hemmings just looked at me. I don't see any fangirls anywhere. Like, this is my chance. We'll like wait 5 minutes and then we'll walk in. If they look moderately happy, we'll talk to them. We walk into H&M. We go up the escalator and what do we see? Luke is being swarmed by like 5 12-year-old girls. He did not look happy at all. He looked pissed. He was hiding in the kids section. He was literally standing behind the racks of like children's pajamas, like for 5-year-olds. These girls were like, ah! We walked past this group, like nonchalantly walked past this group with Luke, and he like looked up at that moment and he looked at all 3 of us, and I was like, we just kept walking. We're like, nah, we can't stop him. Like, he genuinely doesn't look happy. We didn't want to bother him because, I mean, he was hiding in the kids section, for God's sake. We walked past him and then he had to walk past us to get to the escalator to leave. He walked past, but then he turned back around and my 2 friends were talking and I was just looking because I was like watching him walk away, and then he turned back and looked at me and he just smirked, like this cheeky ass smirk. So like he knew, he probably thought we were stalking him all day, but I kid you not, we were literally just looking for a boost. We went down the escalator and then we walked past and we saw Ashton, who was like incognito, big black hoodie hiding from everyone, head literally in the jeans stand looking for jeans. Like, fuck it, let's just go. They don't look impressed with these fans like following them. Let's just leave and find this boost. So we're standing at the exit / entrance on our phones, like trying to find this boost. We see Luke walk out and again turns and looks at us like he knew. And then Ashton leaves, and then out of nowhere, like literally like 25 fangirls ran past us. And all these fans are like standing out the front of H&M like crying because they didn't stop for them. It turns out they had met some of our friends like down the road, and I was like, fuck, if we had been down the road we could have like met them too. So I mean, was that bad? Was that a good experience? I don't know. We were in this place called Pancake Parlor. We get these incredible pancakes. They were great, but they were also like diabetes because there was so much sugar in them. The Pancake Parlor is next to Rebel Sport, which is like a sporting shop. We had our pancakes, we left, and we found out like 20 minutes later that Callum was at Rebel Sport and he like met fans. Then there was all of the unlucky shit that happened at the concert. If you haven't seen my story time about my Sounds Live Feels Live concert experience, link will be in the description. For real though, you should go watch it because like shit hit the fan at that concert. It was fucking batshit crazy. Once we got back from the concert, one of my friends realized that she left her wallet at the venue. In her wallet were 2 of my Kylie Jenner lip kits and like my concert ticket. It was an unlucky thing to happen because by the time we got back to the hotel it was like midnight, so the venue had shut and it was a public holiday the next day, so we couldn't go and get the wallet. They were leaving to go back to Perth the day after, so there was no way we were gonna get our wallet. She has got it back though, so God was with us. I got sick. That was expected because I camped out for 24 hours in the freezing cold and the rain for the Five Souls concert. I was still hoping that maybe my immune system would be with me and I wouldn't get sick, but I did. So I was sick for the next 2 weeks that I was in Melbourne on holiday. Then I met up with one of my other friends and we went to stay in like a rental apartment thing. So we had to go and buy food. There was a shopping center down the street. Because we were staying for like 2 weeks, we spent like $300 worth of food. There was a lot and there was 2 of us. We weren't allowed to leave with the shopping trolleys. So we were like, well, what the hell do we do? Almost 30 bags full of food. It was ridiculous. It was physically impossible for like us, both of us, to grab all of these bags. We're walking up this hill and the bags, as if it was like fucking dominoes, the bags started breaking one by one. But we did not think it through. There was like Dorito salsa like falling out of the bags. A whole chocolate cake fell onto the floor. I almost cried. I was so upset. We were staying in like this fancy bit of Melbourne as well, so there's all these people just looking at us while we've got these bags that are just food spilling out everywhere. And it got to the point where I had to sit and wait with the food while my friend took some of the bags up. I just had to sit in the middle of the street with these like shopping bags around me because there was nothing we could do. The next day we decided to dye my hair. We put a towel on my back while we were doing my hair, obviously, so I don't get the hair dye on my clothes and on myself. The hair dye got all over this towel, so we were like, crap, throw it straight into the washing machine. We threw it in there with nothing else, and we're sitting there, we just hear this noise, like this churning noise, and then a bang, and we walk into the laundry. In the washing machine, like there's water all over the floor. And I thought that either it was possessed or it was just, you know, my bad luck striking again, because we thought we'd broken the washing machine. Then a couple of days later we decided that we would go to the op shop. There was no op shops in the city, so we had to try and find one that was like the closest to the city. Thought we were doing the right thing. We thought we got on the right tram. We literally had no idea where we were. We were like an hour out of the city. Google was not leading us in the right way, so I'm going to write a complaint to them. They are getting a 1-star review on Yelp, and because we're broke ass bitches, we could not afford an Uber. We had to take free transport. And when we got back, I realized that Justin Bieber's tour Purpose is coming to Australia, and the tickets went on sale that day. And being that I was away on holiday, I did not have the money to afford these tickets. The tickets going on sale. The show is now sold out. I do not have tickets to this concert, and I am PO'd. I've never seen Justin live, so... The next day, probably the most traumatizing thing ever. My friend and I crashed a wedding. We were trying to find a toilet in the middle of the city, but we were sort of in like the downtown area of the city where it like wasn't as like fancy. We could not find like a public toilet anywhere, and the ones we did find were out of order. Then we saw a sign in this tiny ass like little thin alley that said there was toilets in the basement. You had to like go in this elevator to go down to the toilets. So we got in this elevator, and then all of a sudden all these people in suits and fancy dresses and heels bigger than my future got into this elevator with us. The toilets were down, but we had to go up because they were in the elevator. So they went up, they all got out, and then more people got in fancy clothes, and then it just kept going up. The elevator literally didn't take us down to the toilets. I was right about to pee myself. I'm standing there in my Nikes, like in my joggers. We eventually got down into the toilets, got up and out. We walked out, and we literally walked right into a bride and groom. Like, we walked, and I'm not talking the way I walked into Luke and Ashton. I'm talking we walked out and like literally collided with these people who had just gotten married on their way to like their reception. Oh my God. I felt so bad. And they just kind of looked at us and were like, why are you here? We're so sorry, we're just looking for a toilet. I mean, we didn't crash an actual wedding. There was this whole like group of people, and we were like cramping their style. Like, they couldn't get lit in the elevator because there were 2 random people standing in there with them because they were trying to find a place to urinate. And a couple of days later, it was time for me to go home. Of course, me, unlucky and stupid, I left eyebrow scissors in my carry-on luggage. So I got stopped by customs for like an hour because of the fact that I left scissors in my carry-on. That concludes my unlucky ass life. If you enjoyed it, let me know. Give it a thumbs up. I don't know why you would enjoy it. It's embarrassing. If you guys want to keep up with my boring ass life of not leaving the house and staying on the internet every day, then you can follow me on my social media. Make sure you hit subscribe as well so you keep up to date with every single video that I post. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!